Hi, my name is Nelda Hunt, and I'm an advocate for developmental change through a psychosocial approach. I would first like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today about re-examining the theoretical foundations of social work practice. We as social workers understand the limitations of system theories as it relates to where we should focus this change. We also understand the importance of exploring multiple ways of examining a situation before recommending an intervention in this profession. With this in mind, as I speak with you today, I would first like you to imagine the effective possibilities one could consider as we revisit the four theories I'll present to you today. We will re-examine Freud's psychoanalytic theory, Erickson's psychosocial theory, along with Piaget and Vygotsky cognitive development theory. We will debate main assumptions and concept beliefs as it relates to theories to compare and contrast potential possibilities for how one could connect such proposals to the social work profession and to the social work practice. When we ask ourselves why theories are important and how theories can guide and promote ethical, competent, and effective social work practice, we must first ask ourselves if we thoroughly understand the meaning of a theory and its functions, the requirement of a theory, and the use of theoretical approaches. Considering we all are social workers and have prior knowledge of what a theory is, there is no need for me to provide you with an exact definition. However, to simply refresh your memory, I will explain to you that a theory is a system of logical concepts better used to explain observation that contributes to development of further knowledge. In addition, for a theory to serve its purpose, we know that a theory must be internally consistent and logical with no conflicts. By a show of hands, with this understanding, um, how many of us can say that we understand how theories help to promote effective and competent social work practice? Okay, let's continue on to the theoretical approaches that I mentioned earlier. Beginning with Freud's psychoanalytic theory, Freud believed human behavior and functioning was primarily related to personality interactions within the mind. In his theory, he placed an emphasis on origin and development of mental life. Freud believed all behavior was motivated and it purposely occurred. He often compared the mind to an iceberg and declared that the id, ego, and superego in an individual's childhood would shape one's psychosexual development as it relates to psychological and sexual aspects. He allowed his beliefs to help him develop 5 stages of psychosexual development. According to authors Newman and Newman, Freud believed the id was the primary source of psychic energy and it exists from birth. The egos was one's self-concept, and mental representation of oneself in relations to other. And lastly, the superego was one's individual behaviors, punishing and rewarding function that was really primarily worthy of praise. And so, for example, Freud believed that if one would use ice cream as a way of redirecting aggression as it relates to other issues, that would be a positive mechanism for them. And so, continuing on to Erickson's psychosocial theory, with his theory, he helped us to understand growth, conflicts, and social interactions as we progress through life. Erickson's theory, unlike others, has allowed us to reference our development across the entire lifespan span instead of just restricting his findings to one human developmental stage. Within this distinctive framework, Erickson's ultimate goal was to help others to better understand social functionings through strengths, dysfunctional patterns, and feelings without disregarding the epistemic principle. And so, although we cannot revisit past events, we can certainly reflect, review, and reinterpret those crises from a different perspective to focus on a purpose after a crisis. He showed us that our life experiences are produced from interactions of the biological, psychological, and societal systems. Erickson allowed his beliefs to help him develop 8 stages of psychosocial crisis. And all of these turning points, as we know it, can be referred to conclusions from discrepancies between one's competencies and societal expectations. Turning points in psychological processes that we as social workers know can be swayed by genetic influences because of how important DNA genetic components connected to an individual's personality. And so, for example, if a child is adopted, we cannot completely remove genetic behaviors rooted by DNA. However, an adoptive parent can influence the thinking and the behavior of that individual to prompt the change within. And so, lastly, as we move right along to the cognitive development theory, we'll talk about Piaget's and Vygotsky theories in cognitive development theory. And so, Piaget and Vygotsky share different beliefs on cognitive development theory. This theory placed an emphasis on origin and development of cognition. Piaget believed children thought differently than adults and wanted others to see that his theory was best explained through processes and mental states. He believed encounters with discrepancies prompt the growth of logical thinking. It was his belief that children move through 4 distinctive life stages of mental and developmental growth as they progressively advance through life. Piaget allowed his beliefs to help him develop these 4 stages that we just talked about, and we know these stages to be sensory motor intelligence, pre-operational thought, concrete operational thoughts, and formal operational thoughts. Um, in all of this, we as social workers know that Piaget considers assimilation and accommodation as balancing processes that account for adaptation. Vygotsky, unlike Piaget, believed children learn best through socializing with others. He believed social interaction was important and that it contributed to the development of children. It was his belief that children learn to be more social when they were in contact with individuals that were more knowledgeable to aid to their knowledge, which is why he placed a greater emphasis on social context. And so, according to authors Newman and Newman, Vygotsky directs attention to the guiding role of social interaction and cultural in shaping and orienting cognition. And so, as social workers, we can understand this, and we also see the importance of his reasoning as it relates to primary concepts of his theory, which are cultural, zone of proximal development, and movements from the intermental and intramental, as we use, these concepts often in practice. And so, for example, we typically work hand in hand with individuals from many walks of life. And while they cannot always figure things out initially, they rely on us as social workers for guidance and practice before they become independent enough to master these things on their own. And so, as I close today, I would like to say thank you for re-examining all of these theories with me today. It was my hope that you have gained new perspectives as we revisit these theories today. We as social workers know being employed in a profession where assumptions and theories act as guiding premises underlining logic to all development, we must simply appreciate every observation and interpretation provided so we can continue to serve others in need. And so, again, I would like to say thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.